In this space, we envision cultivating a community that inspires, empowers, and supports women in motorsports culture. We seek to engage in lifelong adventure, creating perpetual bonds between sisters and honing in the skills necessary for navigation throughout life. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Brandy.
And we are Daughters of the Road. Today was a little bit last minute, but honestly, we already had this all planned by the inception of this program. Nerissa Cerny is truly a role model for girls and women alike in both motorcycles and STEM. She's a Harley-Davidson engineer that's been monumental in designing many of the motorcycles we see on showroom floors today, from cooling systems on Softails to engine calibrations that keep our engines safely chugging along.
Beyond her 9-to-5, she was the founder and mentor on a team that empowers girls in high school to engage in STEM activities called the Iron Lilies, where they literally build a motorcycle together and race it. Nerissa is constantly putting miles on motorcycles, and she's one of the few people I know that won't refuse an adventure. She'll just figure out how it'll work out.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have her join in on the Daughters of the Road podcast to give us the insight into her world and into her mind. So thank you, Nerissa, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah. So you recently shared a photo, a flashback, if you will, from the first time that we met you. That was in Milwaukee.
It was in Milwaukee.
Was it like 2016, 2017? What was it?
Yeah, one of those two, but it was a couple years ago for sure. It popped up on my Facebook timeline. I was like, oh, I have to share this right now. Just those throwbacks are so fun. But it was the first time I met you, Kristen, and our good friend Lainey, who's also our adventure buddy. Brandy, I don't think I met you until like the next year when I came to Vegas one time. But
no, I actually went to your house because I was in the car full of everybody, like the clown car, to get to downtown.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, Mama Tried weekends are crazy.
Yes.
It's a blur, but it's a good time. Yeah. So I was following Iron Lilies at that time, and I was just like fangirling over you all, and then you were there, and it was like one of the first official pre-parties for Mama Tried Flat Out Friday that like I can remember, because it was like early in the inception of the show and everything. And yeah, I just remember like we met, came up to you, and was like, I want to meet you.
I remember that. Nerissa was so cute. She was like, oh my God, hi, I'm Nerissa, and I just really wanted to meet you for a long time. I was like, what?
I was like, I don't want to be awkward, but I think you're really cool.
That is so awesome. But it's funny because I've traveled so many times across the country to come stay at your house, and like just we've had so many adventures since then.
That was just the start of it, right? It's so fun.
Crazy.
Just randomly meet up with women at these events all over. And how many different states have we hung out in now, and now different countries?
I know. Yeah, we've been all over. Last year we went to we did the New Mexico, Texas trip on the Harleys. Mm-hmm. Went riding in sand at White Sands.
That was awesome.
Karaoke with locals in Tombstone.
I'm pretty sure they're probably still talking about that night.
Yeah, that was a booming night.
Lainey singing to everybody, just blowing everybody out of the water.
Right, beautiful voice.
Yes, exactly. So back to Mama Tried. How many times have you raced there?
So in Flat Out Friday, I have raced in 3 separate events. My very first time, I did the Mad Dog class, which was just kind of like dipping my toe in. So I have a little Honda CRF 150. And the Mad Dog is like the mini bikes. So that was my first time getting out. Actually, that was my first flat track race ever, which was a little gnarly because Flat Out Friday is very fast paced. It's like controlled chaos. And I just kind of like jumped in. Thankfully, I had a lot of really good friends who kind of like coached me through the whole night. And like, you need to be here at this point now and don't miss this. And I definitely made mistakes that night. But I mean, that's all it was just learning and getting out there having fun. And then after that, I one year did Women's Open on a 250, and then also Women's Hooligan. That was my first time doing Women's Hooligan. Ended up loving it. I loved being on those bikes. I was kind of scared of them at first because Hooligan bikes are no joke. They're heavy and very torquey, and the Flat Out Friday track is small. So if you make a mistake, get on the throttle too soon, whatever, there's a wall, and it gets really close really fast. But I ended up loving it, and the following year, I did Women's Hooligan again. So, yeah, it's been so much fun. I'm missing it this year. This is actually my first time ever missing Mama Tried in Milwaukee, because I was there, like, basically since day one. I mean, I'm from Milwaukee originally. But it's for good reason because we have some other adventures up our sleeves this year. So
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
100%.
Yeah, I remember one year. Okay, so one year you guys were like cheering me on, and then another year I remember cheering you on. And I remember there was one point where you were running to the start line because I think you were on the Iron Angels bike, and you like didn't have the relay or something. Like there was something missing that you couldn't get it started.
yeah, I think the main fuse.
Main
was
fuse,
pulled out or
yeah.
something. Yeah. I don't think I was racing it that year. I think actually the one year that we had the Iron Angels bike in the race, one of our alumni was riding it, which
okay.
was even cooler. One of our former high school girls, she's a rider and actually does like a lot of motocross racing, but then she jumped in and did an awesome job. But that was hectic because
Yeah.
I was there that time as a racer, as a participant, but then also as a mentor for the girls, trying to get the bike out and everything. Like it's like controlled chaos, but it's so much fun.
Yeah. And I remember one year we all went out to the lake bed where it was frozen over, and you introduced us to ice racing. Tell us
That was
about that. The
awesome.
locals are so into that, and I love it.
So in the Midwest and in the Milwaukee area especially, ice riding is a really popular sport because in Wisconsin, our winter is like 6 months long, and that's a really long time to not be riding motorcycles. So we stay sane by studding up our tires and taking the bikes out on frozen lakes. And if for anyone who's never seen it before, it sounds crazy, and it absolutely is. But it's kind of like, I don't know, almost the most fun you can have on two wheels because it just feels like what am I doing right now? You know, I'm literally on a frozen lake, but it's so great. Like if you get clean glare ice, the screws dig into it so much that you actually have a lot of traction out there. So downtown Milwaukee, there's a big marina, and it's kind of funny because it's sort of like split into two sections, and we have this like unofficial agreement with the local ice fishermen that they get the right side and the motorcycles get the left side.
I love that.
So I always like to think that we were like scaring the fish over to them, so we're like working together. That's probably not right, but whatever.
I believe that. I think that's science. Yeah.
But yeah, usually if it gets really, really cold, like the marina doesn't always freeze over. It has to be real cold because Lake Michigan takes a while to freeze. But
Oh yeah, they put the little picture up of you getting down.
that was from a race I did. Yeah. So much fun. But yeah, so remember the year that you guys all came down to the marina? I think a lot of you, that was your first time maybe even walking on a frozen lake.
Yeah, I was scared. I was like, what the? You want to? And then like we drove. Like somebody brought their truck pretty far in there, and I was like, how do you know are we gonna fall through? And then like, no, we didn't.
No,
but it was scary. And
I mean, like there's guidelines, right? Like somebody goes out and drills, and you know you don't go on the ice unless it's so many inches thick, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean there's races that happen throughout the area, throughout Wisconsin during the winter, and the pits for the races, literally people will drive their trucks and trailers right onto the ice. It's imagine a racetrack but on a frozen lake. So yeah, that was really cool because one thing that I love so much about that community is how friendly and welcoming everybody is. So I think you all experienced some of that.
Oh yeah.
And that's a big testament to the Milwaukee community as well, is, you know, we want you to have fun, and no matter what you ride, if you ride and you think motorcycles are cool, we think you're cool. So we brought you all down, and some people had some extra bikes. You hopped on, and
it was a lot of fun and scary. This one was ripping like sideways, and I was like, I'm going to stay going straight. I don't know. I'm going to fall. This is going to hurt. It's going to suck. I was like, I'm just going to keep going straight. And I did. I literally was going so slow and just like feeling it out. But I definitely want to do it again.
Yeah, we should definitely plan to do that again. That was so much fun. I mean, you're right. It's so much traction. So like, I was like, okay, one time out, I was like, let's run it.
Yeah.
Let's go. So yeah, definitely went in hard.
Yeah.
But it was so fun to test the limits of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The very first time that I went out, I was kind of in the same boat. I was like, I don't know about this, you know? But a friend of mine, he was like a bit of a mentor to me in some ways. He's like, hop on, I'll show you. Because he had been doing it for years. So I hopped on the back of his bike. And typically they're dirt bikes. Some people actually set up their hooligan bikes too, which is cool. But we hopped on the back of his, I think it was a 250. And I just had like wrapped my legs around his waist, and he was like, all right, hold on. And he just ripped. And I mean, like full lean over and everything. And at that point I was like, okay, if this bike can handle two of us at the pace he's going, I believe it. I I trust you, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. So let's get back to the source of it all. What really sparked your interest in racing or motorsports in general?
So when I was real young, I don't even know, maybe like 12 years old or something, my mom took me to a race, an open wheel race, think like Indy cars, that kind of thing, at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And for any race fans out there, you may recognize Road America. It's a pretty famous road course. And that was like my first time being exposed to motorsports and just like high performance machinery and everything like that. And I was just hooked. Like I had my nose up against the fence the whole time. I got to walk through the pits and see the cars up close and everything. And ever since then, I like couldn't get enough of it. So I became like addicted to Formula One. You know, I was getting up at all these crazy hours in the morning to catch it on TV when they were halfway across the world and all this stuff. And yeah, ever since that, I just like discovered this passion for really just all things mechanical and especially like high performance or motorsports focused industry type things. So yeah, that's really where it started.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have a role model or influence at all that kind of like guided you into that path of STEM and engineering?
Yeah. So I think once I discovered this passion, I just started researching things like when I was in high school, you know, I started researching degrees or careers that kind of made sense with these interests that I had. I always really loved science classes and I loved being really hands-on. I did not like math. Actually, everyone thinks that you have to be really good at math to be an engineer. And I mean, yes, that's true to some degree, but it's also okay if you're not good at math initially, because that was me. But yeah, then I discovered engineering through some high school classes, and I ended up meeting a woman at the racetrack because I would continue to go to IndyCar races, and then they came to Milwaukee and all this stuff. And I remember one time I was at the Milwaukee Mile, and I was just like hanging out in front of one of the pit crew stands. Just, I think they were tearing apart the gearbox or something, and I was just like watching them for an hour. And one of the mechanics actually came over, and he was like, "Hey, I noticed that you're kind of hanging out, and you seem really interested. Like, you should go down to this other trailer and find this woman. Her name's Kara." I said, "Okay, I don't know who that is or what she's all about, but cool." So I walked over there, and it was actually the Bridgestone trailer. Knocked on the door and said, "Hi, is Kara here? I'm looking for her." And this woman comes out and ended up talking to me for quite a while, and then we connected and stayed in touch. And that was, I think, my senior year of high school, so just going into college. So I had kind of already decided that I wanted to go in engineering at that point, but she definitely became a role model for me, like throughout college and even into the early years of my career. And she was fantastic. I mean, she still is a very impressive woman, and I'm so lucky to call her my friend and mentor. But she's actually the director of race tire operations now. So like the IndyCar tires, Indy 500, all of that, like she oversees all of it. And a very impressive woman, like I said. So she really was my first big role model throughout that. And not just like in motorsports, but like engineering and like career development, all of that. And then as I got my first job out of college, which was not in racing, but it was in engine development, because I had kind of figured out at that point that I wanted to focus and tailor my career towards engine development. I met another woman at my first job. Her name's Rachel, and we're actually still friends to this day as well. And she actually works at Harley. Funny enough, she ended up coming to Harley, and then I came a few years after. Totally coincidental, but it was great. And she's always been a really big inspiration and role model for me as well. So, and there's like many other women that I've met along the way in racing, motorsports, riding, whatever it is. So, yeah, like no shortage of inspiration at all.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you spoke on not being very good at math. Like, that's hilarious because honestly, like, I loved math in school, but there was my first calculus class. I failed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is the end of me. I can't do it. And then, you know what? I came home, I recollected myself after I failed that class. And I decided to take it again. So I took it again with a different teacher.
Yes.
And I ended up being the highest score in the class by the end of it. And I was like, oh my God, like
I can do this.
Yeah, I can do it. So yeah, can you speak to that younger generation? Like if you ever like failed a class or had like a kind of misdirection or something, like how did you persevere through that?
Absolutely. So, math being a good example of that. Even growing up, in high school and everything, math was my worst subject, but science was my best. And it was always so frustrating to me. I felt like no matter what, I would just try, and I could never get an A in math, right? So I almost didn't go in engineering because I was afraid of that. I had this perception that like I couldn't do it unless I was really good at math. And thankfully I had a teacher in high school that kind of convinced me otherwise. But same thing, Calc 1 in college, I ended up failing it. And, so the school that I went to actually runs on trimesters. So we do 3 semesters a year rather than traditional 2. And the point of that is to get out of school 1 year earlier, to get into industry sooner. And it was pretty cutthroat. It was very fast paced. And basically failing a class like freshman year was a pretty big deal because you got off schedule, right? So for sure, that was like really scary to me. But I just knew I wasn't going to pass it because I was really struggling. So I ended up getting a tutor, and then I took a summer class to like get back on schedule and pass that one with a different professor. But I still really didn't like it, to be honest. So for my degree, I had to take 4 levels of calculus with a few other different types of math. And it probably wasn't until like, I think Calc 3 and then Physics 3, where we started combining the two, that things finally clicked for me, where I was like, okay, I'm not just solving differential equations because my teacher tells me I have to, and I have it on my homework. It's like now I can use these equations to describe the world around me. It was almost like learning a new language, right? So then like it clicked, and I said, oh, okay, now I like it. Now I understand it. So it took a while, and it was a struggle to get through that. But, I approached it just like a roadblock, and I just used all the resources that I had at my fingertips, tutors, friends, whatever it was, and just like kept pushing. But yeah, I mean, college in that sense was tough because, so for example, my degree is in mechanical engineering, and the graduating class was about 200 people, and I was one of 6 women. So definitely not a lot of us, but, I was in classes with a lot of guys who grew up like wrenching on stuff with their dads in the garage and whatever. They just kind of like had this base level of understanding. Or I remember like my very first coding class. What is coding? What? Like, I don't know. What are these words that you're telling me? And
you saying you didn't make Xanga backgrounds?
No. Nope. So there were a lot of examples where I just felt kind of like blindsided, and I had to just like keep pushing and keep persevering. So, sometimes I get frustrated because I was like, man, I just feel like I'm at such a disadvantage compared to a lot of my classmates. But that's like sort of a toxic mentality, right? Because you don't want to be comparing yourself to other people constantly. You should be comparing yourself to yourself to keep striving like for your best self. So I think I worked a lot on that to like just keep on pushing and keeping like my end goal in mind and remembering like why I was doing this, what my passions were and everything. So it finally got through it, got through those 4 years, got my degree, and now here I am.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like that saying we always say is ride your own ride. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. You can't constantly be gauging your progress on other people. Like, it's your own life journey. So, I mean, whatever resources you need to seek out, like you sought tutoring and maybe different like things you found online or something. Like I remember I found this, I forgot what it is now, but I found this tutor online that actually had YouTube videos going through problems, and I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense now that I can sit down and actually like go through a problem with them. Yeah, made it so much better. Yeah.
You guys are way above me, that's for sure.
Oh, no, whatever.
You're schooling, like, I never was into school. Like, I was such a social person. Like, I didn't.
But like, that's your thing.
Right, for sure.
I was just like, cool, like, where are we going next?
Yeah, but so, like, there's, like, social intelligence, and then there's, like, book smarts. And, like, I finally started getting my social intelligence up, I think, like, later in life.
I'm still working on that.
But whatever, you're great. Yeah. But Brandy has a great way of connecting people, and like she's very intuitive, and I think she was able to foster that. instead of, I mean, maybe like not paying attention so much at school, but that's, who cares? That's your journey.
I think that you have a very high emotional intelligence, and sometimes that can be underrated. But like, especially in community building, that's huge. So engineers don't always have a lot of that. So like, it's a good balance.
I'm just amazed that both of you guys like speak that language though, right? Like school language. Like I don't speak that. I'm like, cool.
That's fine. Going back to school or like maybe out of school, did you have any like extracurricular activities you were involved in? Like I was in part of like Engineers Without Borders.
Oh yeah.
Before I dropped out of college, sorry. But were you part of stuff like that?
Yeah. So there's this organization called SAE, stands for Society of Automotive Engineers. And I was very involved in the collegiate chapter of SAE at my school. So at the college level, SAE has various competition projects, like competition vehicles. And let's see, for 2 years, I competed on the super mileage team. So basically, the point of this project was to build a small car, like a one-person vehicle, and achieve the highest gas mileage possible. So I was part of like the very initial team at my school, which was really fun. And yeah, we built a small car. It was essentially like a small frame with 2 bicycle tires in the front, 1 in the back. It was a really small single-cylinder Briggs engine. And I think a competition that year, the body was made out of carbon. We laid up carbon and like this big mold and everything, and just like very hands-on. Like we designed it and built it. So it was like the whole picture, like learned a lot, right? About, we're learning how to do CAD in classes, but now we're actually applying it and using our hands to build it. But yeah, that first year competition, I think the car hit like 758 miles to the gallon. And then the next year we hit triple digits, or not triple digits, but quad digits. We hit over 1,000 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
But there was a team in Canada that always would beat us. So it was really frustrating. So we never took first place, at least while I was there. But so I did that for 2 years. And then my senior year, so for engineering, it's pretty common that you have to have some kind of senior design project in addition to your normal classes. So my senior design project was SAE Formula Hybrid. So the SAE Formula project is pretty well known. It's been long running. And with that one, essentially, over the course of a year, you design and build a small open-wheel race car. But Formula Hybrid was a little bit different. It was kind of like a new variant of that, and we actually built an electric hybrid small race car. So imagine like an open-wheel race car. They kind of have like the side pods, right? So our side pods were actually filled with batteries that worked in conjunction with the internal combustion engine that was behind the driver. So, yeah, it was super cool. So I was actually like the lead engineer, I guess you could call it at that time. I don't know. I was like the most organized one and also the one who was like least shy to talk to people. So, so yeah, I did that in my senior year. And that was a really great experience, obviously, from like the hands-on engineering perspective. But like I used to be pretty shy, and being the lead of that project forced me to learn how to step up, to learn how to find my voice, to be a leader. I had to, give myself an elevator speech, present myself and the team to sponsors, all that stuff, right? And those are very valuable skills that, like, we all know are utilized a lot today in so many different facets. So, yeah, that was a really cool project. And through those projects, especially, I learned that I had a really big passion for internal combustion engine development. So that's how I started like tailoring my career after college.
Yeah. So it's funny because like you're saying these all from a perspective of being a teenager, but then you got to actually experience teaching teenagers in the Iron Angels mentorship program with Build. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Build Moto is a nonprofit organization in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they've been operating for over 10 years now. It's a totally nonprofit, volunteer-based organization. And the whole premise is to pair up high school students in the area with bike building or other related fields of adult mentors. And there's various teams that compete. I think there's like normally over 10 different teams every year. And every team gets a bike that is at various stages of a condition, sometimes running, sometimes not. And we have basically like 6 months to teach the kids how to redesign it, rebuild it, and turn it into a race bike. So They had been doing a lot of road race conversions on the bikes, but then I decided to join in 2019, I forget, a few years ago. And they had just recently moved over to flat track because flat track was like, really becoming popular. And especially in Wisconsin, it's a very big community, grassroots, like really supportive community. So we started having the teams build up flat track bikes, and we got a bike in January, and they basically had until June to rebuild it and race it and everything. And along the way, there's milestones. So we would have to like submit a video of a rolling chassis mock-up. Then we had to submit a video of the engine running and all these things, and we got points along the way. And then, there was a dyno day. So like whoever hit the highest horsepower on that day got more points. And we also had to maintain a social media account. We had to raise a certain amount of money through sponsors and funds to like give back to the organization. So like from a student's perspective, it was a very like hands-on, wholesome approach to a lot of like applicable adult and life concepts. In the meanwhile, they're learning how to use tools and how to build a motorcycle. And so I joined and decided, myself and a few other women in the community decided to start the only all-female team. So we decided the students we were going to recruit would only be female, the mentors would only be female, and I was lucky to have a few other women, other engineers at Harley, and then throughout the community, other women who, not necessarily engineers, but they worked in social media or marketing in some degree, but they were also riders, so they could relate that way. They came on and would like coach the girls through the social media aspects and the sponsorship and all that. So, we've built a couple bikes so far and done really well in the competition. And I'm incredibly proud of it. Honestly, when I moved out to Phoenix a few months ago, leaving the Iron Angels was one of the hardest things for me to leave behind. Yeah. But they're in good hands now, and it's really cool to see how the team is progressing now, like with new leadership in place, kind of. But the other mentors were fantastic, and we just like, I feel so good about how we were able to work together as a team and like find each other's strengths as mentors and then project that onto the girls. So, high school is like a weird age for some girls, especially, and usually our team, they didn't know each other coming into the program. It would just kind of be like a word of mouth, or we would actually go to schools to recruit, or like I knew a local science teacher and went to her class and that kind of stuff. So, we would have like 8 girls coming in who didn't know each other, and it was super awkward at first. So not only are we like teaching them like this is a screwdriver, this is a wrench. I mean, literally like that basic level, righty tighty, lefty loosey. But then we also had to like teach them to mesh and be a team. But we always did a really good job of that, I think. And a lot of that is due to like the strong mentors that we had. And I feel very thankful to have like those strong women on my team as well, to just like keep projecting that onto the next generation.
Yeah. Were there any like really beautiful transformations or testimonials from like a certain girl, or like were there any stories like that?
Yeah. Oh, there's a few. So we did have a few girls who ended up graduating high school and going off to pursue technical degrees. One of them, I think she went off to pursue something like mechanical design. I think we had 2 girls that are now pursuing engineering degrees. At a more basic level, we had one girl who would do a lot of mountain bike racing on the side, like just for fun. And I remember at the end of the season, her dad came up to us and told us that before she was on our team, if she would go into a race and break something on her bicycle, she would typically come home and be like, Dad, can you fix this thing for me? And he said after being with us for 6 months, she would just go into the garage, grab the tools, and fix it herself. Like, not even ask.
Yeah.
And like, I almost started crying when he told me that, right? Because I was like, this is what it's about. It's about the confidence and the empowerment and the skills and everything, even if it's just simple stuff like that. So that was really great. I still stay in touch with some of them, actually, like as they've graduated high school, they're into college now, and they're like starting their adult lives. And it's been really cool too, because I feel like I can still be kind of a mentor and friend to them as they start to like, start their next phase of their life journey and things like that. So yeah, it feels so good. And actually some of them got their license now too. I guess that's a really exciting thing I forget about sometimes. So for sure, some of them have gone to riding academy, and gotten their M endorsement. But one of them in particular, her name's Jay. Her and I are still pretty close. I actually brought her on the ice with me one time, and like that was such a cool like 360 moment where I looked over and I was like, I remember when you were just like a sophomore in high school, and now I'm riding a motorcycle next to you. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like you get that like motherly instinct, right? But we like none of us have kids, but it's cool to like have littles look up to you and like you teach them something new.
Yeah, it feels so good. And even especially like we talked about me having mentors in my early days, I feel like I'm in this really cool position where I can kind of pass the torch, and that's really meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just passed the torch recently.
You did. I'm so proud of you.
I was really stoked about that, but it's neat to and like I'm excited for Celine that we passed the torch to.
Yeah.
To watch her grow, and like I hope like she sticks with motorcycle stuff. Like she talked about doing the fire academy and stuff, and paramedic or EMT. And I'm like, man, I really hope that this platform helps her to like just pursue more motorcycle stuff. So
Yeah, so Celine is basically coordinating events for Sin City Moto Girls, which Brandy was the founder of. So it's pretty cool, like after all those years of fostering such a community, she is able to allow somebody else to like kind of handle her baby.
Yeah. It takes some courage to let go a little bit, I think, and it's kind of scary, especially something that you fostered so much, right? Like with the Iron Angels, I was like, man, this is my thing. Like I'm so passionate about these girls, and I just feel so good about where they're at. But it's also really cool to let someone else kind of take the reins and then see how they manifest it, right?
Yeah. There's the Iron Angels up there. Nerissa working over there. And
how old is that little girl? Like she looks really young.
I think she was a freshman that year. Yeah, so that was actually last year. We that bike was an XG 500, and you can see we pretty much totally tore it apart and rebuilt it.
Oh yeah.
The paint scheme is one of my favorites. So we always give the girls a lot of freedom on the design because we really want them to feel the ownership of it, right? So this last one was inspired by one of the girls' pet tropical birds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why it kind of has like a feathery scale pattern, and it's all rainbow colored and everything. But yeah.
How do they choose what number is going to go on it? Is it the same number every year?
So with our team in particular, there actually is a bit of a story behind it. So the Iron Angels number is always 05. And the reason behind that is there was a woman in the Milwaukee community. Her name was Charlotte Keynes. Mm-hmm. And she was on her way to becoming a professional flat tracker. And I think she was in her young 20s. And she ended up being in an accident in a race and passing away. So her dad, Jack Haynes, is still very active in the Milwaukee community. He's actually a mentor on another build team, and just like a really wonderful guy and family who just gives back to, a community that could be very traumatic for some people, losing their daughter and something like that. But so Charlotte, I did not meet her as before I came to Milwaukee, but she had a very profound impact on many people in that community. And some of the more senior mentors on the Iron Angels, they knew her. They kind of helped grow up with her around the racetrack and all that stuff. So being that we were the only all-female team, or the first all-female team in the program, we asked her father if we could run her number, and he agreed. So now we're always 05. Yeah.
What a beautiful tribute.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. So it's cool to see you now as a shining example for what teenagers can be in 10, 15 years, you are a Harley-Davidson engineer and calibrator. You designed this Softails, you helped design the Milwaukee 8 engine. It's crazy because in 2017 when I revealed that the Softails on the lineup, it was crazy to sit on and be like, oh my gosh, now I'm feeling a personal level of connection to the build, It kind of brings that, it brings that different level of emotion to a mass-produced motorcycle. It feels more handcrafted, right? So it's so interesting. What does it feel like to know that you're part of such a rich heritage?
It feels really good. It's still a job at the end of the day, right? People are like, oh, it must be a dream job. And it is. Okay, I work on motorcycles for a living, so it's pretty freaking cool. but it's still a job. So there's also like good days and bad days, but overall, I really enjoy the opportunity to have an impact on people in that way. Motorcycles are often machines that are owned for passion reasons, or they're machines that people find happiness and joy out of. And I feel like I'm contributing to somebody's happiness and joy. I'm contributing to their peace, right? So yeah, that's really cool for me. And especially like when I see people that I know, especially women, like friends that I meet, and they're riding products that I helped bring to market, like, that's so cool. I'm like, I helped that, but what also I really enjoy is really like breaking the perceptions. And, like in general, I kind of like breaking molds and surprising people. So, we sometimes have opportunities to go work at rallies or at various like setups for Harley, and like as engineers, we can interact with the customers and answer questions or explain the products and everything, which is like a great way for us to get out of our cubicles and interacting with people who are actually using our products. But it's fun like when guys come up to me and they're like, "Oh wow, you can actually like say words that mean things," and and I'm like, yeah, actually,
little do they know.
Right? But yeah, so I think like I love having this opportunity to say yes, I am an engineer. I do work for Harley-Davidson, and there is a very like diverse group of people designing these products for diverse customers. And a lot of people just think, oh, Harley-Davidsons are just for like middle-aged white guys, but they're for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
So, I get to work at Babes Ride Out almost every year now. Last couple of years I've done it, which is a really cool opportunity. I love doing that because you get like hundreds or thousands of women coming up, and they're like, oh, you're not just like a hired spokesperson. Like, you actually know these bikes. And I'm like, yeah, like I designed this piece of it right here, or I can tell you how this bike rides or how it feels like from a personal perspective as well. So yeah, I think that's like a really cool opportunity.
Yeah. So your first bike wasn't a Harley-Davidson. I know that.
No.
Tell us what it was and how did you transition into Harley-Davidson?
So I actually started riding before I came to Harley, and I started riding because I had graduated from college and needed a new hobby because all of a sudden I had free time. I didn't have like lab reports and homework to write constantly. So my now husband, but boyfriend at the time, his mom had a motorcycle just collecting dust in the garage. And she was like, hey, you can have this if you go off and get your license, because I'm not using it. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's go learn how to ride motorcycles. So I ended up getting, my first bike was a Ninja 500, and it was a Craigslist special. It was basically like the cheapest thing I could find on Craigslist, and it was purple, which was my favorite color. Like those are pretty much the only reasons I bought it. Like I didn't know enough besides that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I had like a buddy drive it back for me, and I ran out of fuel on the freeway on the way back, and it was like this whole thing.
No.
So yeah, that was my first bike, and it was like honestly kind of a piece of junk, but it was good because it taught me basic maintenance and like just some of the things that I feel like are kind of important to know as a rider, and like being a little bit more in tune with your machine and whatever. So yeah, that was my first bike. And then I had gotten a job out of college and then ended up wanting to leave that job. And that's when I got hired at Harley. So, I still had the Ninja when I went to Harley, but we have company fleet of bikes that we can take out for evaluation, things like that. So then I started riding Harleys, and I started understanding what these products were and how they were different from my piece of junk little purple Ninja. And we have to take a lot of riding training through work. Like for my job in particular, I need to actually ride our prototype bikes quite a lot at our test tracks and on the roads and things like that to evaluate the aspects that I am calibrating or affecting in the design of the product. So to do that, we have to go through riding training to basically make sure that we're competent and safe riders, right? So I started going through a lot of this training and just becoming a more skilled rider, really riding more often, and just being surrounded by so many other riders. It's impossible to not catch the bug. And I just started like becoming more passionate about it and like understanding the community. And then I started finding other people in the community and other women especially. And I just like became obsessed. So
Yeah, you took like a police riding course once. I remember that.
Yeah. So I did a week-long police like slow speed maneuverability course. And I like to this day, I will stand by the opinion that was the hardest class I ever took.
Yeah. That stuff is really technical. I've taken a couple of those, and it's super slow speed, like really tight turns. It really challenges you. It's real good.
Big time. Yeah. The class that I took was 5 days straight, and it was like full days, like 8-hour days for 5 days. Nice. And at the end of it, we had a test, and it was taught by former police chiefs, and like intense dudes. But we did it on Road Kings, and I was trying to keep track of how many times I dropped the bike, and I think after day 2 I lost track. So I am really good at picking up motorcycles now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was intense. Like not only physically but mentally. Like I think by the 4th day, I had a bit of a mental breakdown. I remember like one of the instructors, he literally told me, he's like, park your bike and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, okay.
Oh, wow.
But I did. I got off and I just like centered myself, got back on, and just like kept going, right? So I don't know. I like doing stuff like that because I like kind of like pushing yourself to your limit, but then like going just a little bit past it to see like how much you can handle physically, mentally, whatever. I just think that's like one of the best ways to grow.
Yes.
So yeah, even though it was really tough, I'm so glad I took that class.
Under pressure.
Yeah, legit.
Brandy, have you ever had any of those breakdown moments on the motorcycle?
I'm sure I have. Yeah, I mean, riding to Sturgis this past year without a fairing, that was a breaking moment.
You got really creative though with it.
Oh, girl, had to. I was looking for a trailer to send it home. I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was definitely a breaking moment because I'd never imagined not wanting to ride home from Sturgis. Like, it's one of the things I look forward to. It's like a straight shot, put down as many miles as I can or I want to that day. And yeah, I was just like, I don't even want to do it.
What did you do to get back?
I just sucked it up, Buttercup. Like, I was like, there's no point
You
in
made
this.
a makeshift windshield.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. I was like, I don't know. I just told myself, suck it up, make it work. But yeah, I did. I had a toiletry bag, and I wrapped my jacket around it, and I made a fairing because I was like, there's no freaking way I'm going to make it home.
So smart.
Worked out. It was recommendations from everybody. We stayed at a really gnarly house with Penny this past year, and everybody was like, yeah, try this. I was like, F it, we're doing it. Let's go.
I love that stuff though. When you're on these big road trips and something goes wrong, you just like you have to get creative and you have to MacGyver something.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I got to MacGyver the other day too. One of the girls, the horn cover fell off of her bike, and I used a hair tie to get it on. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's keep going.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was like, Kristen would be so proud of me right now.
For sure. Always. Yeah, those little nifty moments. I remember, I feel like everybody's like zip tied their shift linkage or something.
I always carry zip ties.
Always carry zip ties, 100%. Yeah.
And the baby bungees too. Those guys
Yeah.
come in handy. Like, they're tiny. I just wrap them around my bars. Never fails. Like, every ride, somebody's like, dang, I need this or I need that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, let's figure it out.
Yeah. What other essentials do you guys usually carry with you when you're going on long road trips?
I love my Leatherman. I always make sure to have my Leatherman with me.
smart. Yeah,
That's from Lainey. Lainey taught me that many, many years ago.
that's a good one. So I have my friends joke that it's my pocket protector. But I have this like little organization thing that is stuck to the inside of my left side saddlebag, and in it I always have some essentials. Like I have some basic tools. I have a pen, sunscreen, chapstick. I have a little first aid kit. I typically, especially on longer trips, I have a portable tire pump. I always have a jump pack with me. Usually, extra bottle of water. Zip ties.
Extra credit question. Do you guys carry your registration with you? I knew everybody would be like,
I actually just put mine in because I had to pay a ticket.
I literally just did. That's hilarious. We probably did it on the same day. I've been riding around without my new sticker on my motorcycle for like months. months. I'm the worst. So yeah, when we went on our long Texas trip, all of us, I made sure to put my registration in my tank bag because I had a tank bag.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And thank goodness, because my dumbass was the one that got pulled over because I'm over here crossing the double line when a park ranger is right. I'm passing the park ranger. Oh my God. Yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah, that was like somewhere in northern Arizona, I think.
I don't remember.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, it was Arizona.
I remember because I think you were second in line of the four of us.
Yeah.
I was next, and I was about ready to send it too because I was like, shoot, well, there was like a line of cars in front of us, and they were doing like 500 at the speed limit. Like, come on,
Yeah.
It was
And
cold.
Yeah.
It was cold. Yeah, I think there was some snow on the ground too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you were in the back, Brandy. I was second from the back, and you had just pulled out, and I was like edging. I was like looking for a clear spot, ready to go, and the lights lit up, and I was like, "Ooh!"
Yeah. I did not see her, man. She was like on it. Okay, so in my defense, there was a Jeep that crossed first.
Yeah.
And then I went behind it because I was like, oh, the double line's about to run out. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
And then we literally passed this park ranger. I'm like, oh, there goes. Please hope that nobody's behind me following. There goes Lainey. We're both knocked out. Brandy and Nerissa just slowly creep by when we're getting pulled over. I'm like, oh my God.
We'll see you later.
They like wouldn't let us like pull over. She
No.
was like not happy about it. So me and Nerissa like went a little ahead of you guys and we pulled over and she's like, no, go. So me and Nerissa had to go down the road.
Yeah, and we had zero cell phone reception where we
Yeah.
were, right? So and it was taking a long time. I don't know what she was doing, but
She was just hanging out in her truck.
Brandy
I swear to
and
God.
I were just like, should we go back? Like, are they okay? What's happening?
We did have snacks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that you must always carry with you is snacks.
Yes.
Like my handlebar bag, I always have snacks in the handlebar bag. So yeah.
There you go, snacks.
So this reminded me when you talked about your tank bag. Remember, like at the beginning of the trip, Lainey brings all the essentials.
Oh no, the snack pack.
The whole snack bag flies off.
Snacks for days gone.
Oh my
You get a snack. You get a snack.
Okay,
Everybody
so
on the highway gets a snack.
we'll frame this. Okay, so we're all like loaded up, right? Because we're like ready to spend a week on the road. And Lainey shows up. We're meeting at the gas station, and she's like, "You guys, I got snacks." And we're like, "Yeah." So on the back of her sissy bar, she's got just this like pack that's dedicated to snacks, right? She opens it up, and we're like, "Oh yeah, it's like Twizzlers and stuff, sweet." And then I don't know how far in we were.
It was like an hour into the ride, I feel like.
Right? And then all of a sudden, this guy pulls up next to me because Lainey, I think you were trailing in the back. I was second from the back. And this guy in a car pulls up and he's like waving me down. He's like pointing. I'm like, what? And look. And like Lainey's not with us anymore. So I'm like, shoot, guys. So I pull up next to you. I was like, we got to pull over, right? And we're kind of looking back. We're like, what's going on? Is she okay? And then eventually she rolls up next to us. And she's like, you guys, the snack pack. And we look, and it had just like opened up and fallen off or something, and was like shredded all over. So like all of our snacks for that entire week, we're maybe like 2 hours into this trip.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, all right, okay, I guess all the squirrels are gonna enjoy the combos.
Oh
It was
man.
funny too because like we needed something from it, like the first aid kit or something.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was like, well, that was in the snack pack.
Yeah.
We were so sad.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because you guys were the ones to suggest getting snacks today. And
yeah.
I'm like, what's going to happen to the snacks this time? Like, we're about to go on a flight literally right after this to go to Belize. And I'm like, I hope that we have the snacks. Like, is that going to be the 5 pounds we have to leave? Like, I don't know.
So our bag is over by 5 pounds, and we're just gonna run it. We're just
gonna run it.
hope for the best.
Yeah. No, don't worry. We packed all the snacks in Lainey's helmet bag, actually. So
Easy access.
So we make it to Belize, and she's gonna put on her helmet, and it's gonna smell real funny.
A culmination of all the snacks. She's going to be hungry the whole time.
Gotta get creative,
Yeah, you know.
No, it was so good. So we got these new bags. Was anybody able to fit everything in them, or did?
Almost. I did have to pack some stuff in my helmet, but
Yeah. I packed all my clothes in my helmet. Yeah, literally, yeah, all my clothes.
Did you use a compression sack?
I mean, I just used my little, I mean, yeah, I guess it is a compression sack, but it's not like the vacuum sealed one. It's just like you zip it once and it compresses a little bit.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but I threw it all in my helmet.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see how long
I did not.
I took a lot extra this time. Like a lot.
Really?
Like, I literally packed way too much.
Wow.
I know, so if anybody needs clothes, I got you guys.
Well, I mean, it was kind of tough to pack, honestly, because I feel like, you know, we're all pretty seasoned road trippers at this point. So, like, we've gotten pretty good at, like, being minimalists on the road. But, like, we're going to Belize, and I have no idea what to expect. So I'm like, what do I wear? I don't know. Do I need this kind of gear, or can I buy this there? I don't know. So
I assumed I would wear the same dirt bike gear literally every day, and that maybe we'll go out at night to the karaoke bar and I'll wear like an easy dress.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I packed a dress, I packed a pair of shorts, I packed my leggings I'm wearing right now, and a jumper, and that's about it.
no,
Yeah.
I don't have cute clothes with me.
Well, I might have some options for you.
Brandy's got them. No worries.
Sick.
Got you.
Lainey didn't even pack clothes, she just packed snacks, so.
You know what? Between the four of us, we're gonna be good. It'll be fine.
Oh, we'll be
Absolutely.
just fine.
So we're going to be doing a little bit of content on Daughters of the Road while we're out in Belize, and I'm really excited about that to share.
Yeah. So a little backstory, if you guys aren't following on Daughters of the Road. So I wrote an article about Emma of Alternate Adventures in 2017, I believe it was. It's on the website, so if you go to our articles on daughtersoftheroad.com, you'll see that you can find the Emma one. And it was so cool. I just like, I was connecting with a lot of people overseas somehow at that time, and I was just so intrigued by traveling abroad and what they do and like how they run their businesses and everything. So connecting with her was like just extraordinary, and I made it a life mission to go on this trip. So it's like crazy that we were able to just like say it, and then everybody was on board.
Yeah.
And then now we're making it happen, and she's going to be our tour guide. And she was like, I don't even want you guys to pay for me. Like, I'll do it for free. And we're like, what?
I know. I'm so excited to meet her.
It's so cool. Like, I'm so stoked for what this adventure is going to be. Like, I don't know anything really about what we're doing.
I know we're getting on a little plane. And we're going to another place, and then we're going to get motorcycles, and that's all. I'm good.
Yeah, we got dirt bikes. I know something about jungles, waterfalls, and Mayan ruins, and that's karaoke bar too.
And locals food.
Local food.
Heck yeah.
Stoked about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. But that's what I love about these adventures is we're all just like, sweet, yeah, let's go, let's check it out, you know, and like you kind of have that adventure mentality.
Yes.
Ugh.
That's where I feel like you grow and learn so much.
Yeah.
Especially like becoming, now that we're going on international travels together, it's even cooler because then you get to broaden your perspective of what this world is, because you're not just stuck in the United States and traveling in the United States. Like, that's easy. That's always easy. When you're out in another country and they don't speak your language, I mean, they do primarily speak English, but they do speak a lot of Spanish. And then learning their culture, what they eat, all that stuff. Ugh.
Yeah,
Sign
right.
me up.
And motorcycles are like the catalyst to this, at least for us, right? I mean, obviously you can travel in other ways, but that's one thing that I've learned to really love about, I mean, one of the many things I love about motorcycles, but it is like, it becomes a common language no matter where you go, the people that you meet. If you meet somebody who maybe doesn't speak the same actual language as you, but they ride, you can still find that connection.
Yeah, you can
right?
like flow.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. So we know what's coming up literally tonight. Next.
Airport.
But
Like now, Lainey's probably like sitting there with her thumbs. Guys, it's getting close to 8:30, 9:30.
Yeah. But let's look forward. What do you have planned, or like what do you envision doing in the next like 5 to 10 years?
Oof. So I just moved to Phoenix from
Finally.
Milwaukee.
After years of convincing.
Literally, all three of these women for so long. They're like, "When are you gonna move out to our side? When are you coming to the desert?" And like, as I would come visit you like once a year when I was just getting crazy from all the snow, right? So they finally convinced me, and I'm so happy I'm
and
here.
we convinced John. I think
Yes.
we sent him last trip when we went to Texas. We sent John a message and we're like, "Hey, y'all gotta come to Vegas." We said Vegas,
Yep.
but we're good with Arizona.
Yeah, it's still pretty close, right? Yeah. I know. I'm so glad that he was on board with this. So yeah, I only moved here like a few months ago, so I'm definitely still just like settling and getting my feet underneath myself. So that's kind of like where my head is at now. In the future, I definitely see us staying here a long time because there's so many cool things to do here, so many adventures to find.
It's
and-
never ending.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so excited. So, I think that we're gonna stay here for a while. I definitely want to do more international trips, just like on a personal note. Definitely want to try riding in more countries. You know, I'm just gonna like slowly tick them off. So, I really, really miss working with the Iron Angels. Yeah. So, who knows? In the future, I'd like to maybe start something that is like along similar lines where I can, like in a more formal sense, get involved with some mentoring or some education or something like that.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I have so many ideas, like especially in that realm. I have a lot of ideas of like kind of starting a platform to just like help provide education on basic motorcycle concepts or mechanical concepts that like women especially, or just like people who maybe didn't grow up with like mechanical minded parents or like that background, just something that they can like learn from and then feel more confident in speaking about their motorcycle or maybe like doing basic maintenance and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I have all these ideas and just kind of like focusing on life a little bit right now, settling, and then we'll just kind of like move on from there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Big things popping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So how do people follow along with you?
I'm pretty active on Instagram, so that's probably the best place. Yeah. Nerissa _nonstop on Instagram. Yeah, but I don't have like a YouTube channel or anything like that yet. So
Nerissa Nonstop.
Yeah.
We put it up on the screen for you.
So
Yes. So thank you again, Nerissa, for being in this space and sharing what it's like in your mind and in your life and how you're such an inspiration to so many people, whether it be a young person or people our age, even beyond. Like I've heard so many older people, even my dad, saying that they're inspired by you.
so sweet.
Yes.
It means a lot.
My dad loves the crap out of you.
Yeah. So whether it's intentional or not, you do the damn thing, and we love you for it.
Thank you.
You're really making your mark on the motorcycle industry and beyond for women, people in STEM, and just life in general. You're a really golden person. So
I appreciate that a lot. And
yeah.
It feels good.
So we can't wait to see what else happens with you giving to the world.
Thanks.
That's gonna be great.
Thanks. I always appreciate having you guys around and supporting me, and yeah, it's such a good community. I feel very fortunate to have found it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So a little bit about Red Rock Harley-Davidson in this segment. Go ahead, Brandy.
So we've got a pre-Mardi Gras party going on this Saturday. Unfortunately, we will not be there for it, but it's in great hands. So be sure to stop by Red Rock Harley around 11 to 1 for the pre-Mardi Gras party.
Yes, and as you can see, we're wearing Speed Kings Cycle today. We want to give a very special shout out to Speed Kings. It's an extensive platform for you to get your parts, whether it be UTVs, now new, or FXRs, baggers, everything in between. They work with most major manufacturers. They work with cool people like Horsepower Inc. You can grab all these different parts. They're also making their own parts. Yep. So made in the USA. It's pretty rad. Check out their website, Speed King Cycle. The link will be in the description. And also they gave us a code for you guys. If you want to get 10% off your order, you can use the code DOTR, DOTR 10, and you'll receive 10% off. So think of us when you're shopping.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to doing more things with Speed Kings. Definitely looking forward to going out to their, a drag racing day.
Yep.
So.
They're doing a V-twin drag racing day.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll post more about that. We shared it on our story, but yeah, that's going to be coming up, and we're super stoked on that.
Yep.
So yeah, other than that, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. It was an awesome show. Again, we're going on a trip to Belize here in an hour. Sorry, can't. Belize. Bye. Check out our shirt.
We're ready.
Yeah.
Ready to get on a flight.
We're all going to wear matching shirts, be those people. We're the bridesmaids without the bride.
We are 100% that with our matching luggage, all so cute.
Everything's
Thank
matching.
you,
Shout out Billwell.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got matching backpacks, helmets, jerseys, everything.
Yep.
It's
Thank
cute.
you.
Like I'm telling you,
We're
gonna
gonna
be
look
cute.
good.
So yeah, look forward to all those stories coming up here soon. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all the good social platforms, and be on the lookout for the next one, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.